A lot of people like to give advice on stuff they're not actually doing, so this video is going to be different. I'm going to explain my first 2 years in real estate have now passed. I want to explain what went well, what hasn't, some numbers behind the portfolio, as well as giving you a breakdown of what's actually inside of it and kind of what the direction is moving forward. You might have seen my 2022 goal video or a breakdown on the new properties that I'm purchasing. I've got 23 units under contract right now that is being added into the portfolio. The goal for this year is to add another 30, which will bring me to 60. So we will see exactly what happens. But I want to break down what has happened over the last 2 years, how I've picked up over $1 million of additional value. A lot of that's not cash in my pocket because I haven't sold the properties, but I want to break down the real estate side of things. I've made consistent cash flow basically every single month. Obviously, we've done renovations and stuff where those numbers can change, but that is called CapEx. That's an additional renovation. So here's what the portfolio looked like. First, I bought a house, and you might be so impressed right now that you've already liked and subscribed and commented how beautiful my drawings are. You might not know my day job as an artist. Here's some of my work that I've done. This one's over in Paris. I have stuff all around the world. I'm just a fantastic artist, as you can tell. So here's the house that I bought. It looks exactly like it. I bought this house. Then I bought the duplex, then I bought another house, then I bought a personal house for me, which is my dream house, then eventually rented that out when I moved to an island. So those are the first 4 things. So I purchased these 3 right away. I purchased a house, then a duplex, then a house, all in like 90 days. Very quick. Then I stopped. I wanted to see what happened. What was the process for leasing that out? What does a lease look like? How do I deal with property management? How does the rent come in? Like, I wanted to see that. So I did that for a bit, then bought another house myself. Oh my gosh, things are going amazing. Let's continue. So then I went and bought a 4-plex. So, right, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 units. So I continued adding things to the portfolio, and it was something that I really enjoyed doing. So that brought me to a total of 5 properties, which I still all own to this day. Now, right now, what's under contract is a 6-unit, a triplex, and a 14-unit. So those properties are going to be closing here within the next couple weeks by the end of the month here in January, and those will bring me to a total of above 30 doors. I'm also under contract to sell this duplex. This is what's crazy. Selling this for about a $200,000 gain. I've owned it for less than 2 years. It's cash flowed amazingly every single month, and I'm going to do I don't really want to sell it, by the way. I really don't. It's a fantastic property. I know it'll make more money long term, but I want to see the side of the process where I do a 1031 exchange and move that money into something else. So I'm going to try that from this, and I'm going to move it into one of these other deals just to see the process, just for the learning experience. Now, here's what I can tell you throughout this entire process. It is easier the bigger the building you buy. Okay, I'm going to say that again because this is so crucial. The bigger the building you buy, the easier it becomes. And here's why. A lot of people say this. You might hear Grant Cardone say it. I was always like, whatever, you're talking about so much money. Truly, when I was under contract for an 88 unit that I've talked about before, I ended up backing out due to the financials. Well, that 88 unit, I got all the debt lined up. A $6.25 million loan was easier to get than $300,000. I'm going to say that again. $6.25 million loan was easier to get than $300,000. They didn't ask for my income. They didn't check my credit. I don't even think they knew my last name. I'm sure they did, but it was so easy because it's what's called asset based. When you're doing a commercial loan, it is much more based on the asset of the property. Where's it located? What are the numbers? What year was it built? What's the unit count? What's the cost per door? What's the cash flow? All of that is way more important than, buying a house where it's like, there's only gonna be one tenant. And usually you're not doing a single family home as a rental. A lot of people do, but the banks don't like that as much. So it makes it more difficult. And I'll tell you, it's literally 100 times easier the bigger you buy. So I learned that moving forward, I'm going to want to focus more into this category. And I think over the next 2 years, you'll see this board continue to grow. I'd like to pick up, a 30, a 60, a 100. I'd like to continue growing and just moving up in property size. And, while that might require me to change my market just due to the expensiveness, and I don't want to say the word expensive, it's really dumb inside of real estate because the rents are growing to support it. But, just due to what I believe to be the upside based on my 2 years of study and learning, talking to people who have, a couple $100 million portfolios. Unfortunately, I'm not close with anybody who has $1 billion portfolio yet. That'd be a really cool goal. But, associate myself with people who have a very large portfolio, much, much bigger than mine, tens of millions to hundreds of millions. It's been cool to kind of see the progression of that and get to hear how they've done it, get to walk some of their properties, see the financials. They've been gracious enough to open that up. So I can tell you with confidence, what's been beneficial for me is moving more towards these bigger properties. But these have been fantastic because it was a great learning experience. I was able to get rid, and this might sound very controversial, I was able to get rid of some of my money. And it's just, when you have a lot of money sitting in proportion to whatever you think about a lot is, it doesn't do you much good because a lot of people just react to that in a slightly negative way. They stop working as hard to push to create new income. And while that, that's to each their own, that might not be you. It kind of did for me. It just led to me spending, and this might not be a bad thing, I spent too much money investing into new business ideas that weren't standardized investments. So there were certain risky aspects. I also spent like $800,000 on cars in 1 year. But to be fair, I didn't just spend it. Some of those cars made me money, some lost it. It was kind of a wash. One was a gift for a family member. But regardless, it's just getting to learn this experience. Getting to put money into these and make money from it now has just been fantastic. So I'm trying to see every piece of the process, but that's been my experience in real estate. That's been the first 2-year update summary. People wanted to hear a little bit more about my experience, so I'm just making a few videos for you, breaking down what I've learned throughout the process, because I've spent probably, it's not the craziest number, probably $60,000. Half of that is just to be a member of a group for 1 year, $30,000 a year. But the other $30,000 was on courses and lunches and dinners and flying out and digital seminars. As I'm filming this, I have a 3-day digital training that's going on the next 3 days. It's going to take 8 hours a day that I paid, I think it was a $5,000 seat for. Super excited for it, because any of these properties, even like a duplex or a fourplex, just by what they've already sent me before this event started, just all their documents on like a letter of intent, the underwriting, what they look at for their numbers, just the printout documents they want me to have before we sit down for the training, I already got my $5,000 worth. Because if it saves me one little thing, little mistake, one little tidbit of information that does like anything, I'm making that back tenfold, even on a small ass deal. So it's just one of those things you got to think about as you're scaling. And obviously you got to have the money to do it, but it's just one of those things that is, it makes a lot of sense to do, especially in this industry. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm continuing to learn the real estate side of things. If you want to follow along for the journey, don't forget to subscribe. I also post more stuff on my Instagram every single day. So hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it earned a thumbs up if you would consider that. If you have any questions about it, leave it in the comments section down below, because I'd love to answer them. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.